Have you ever wondered why some people lose respect in conversations, relationships, and professional environments without even realizing it? What if the reason has nothing to do with intelligence, appearance, status, or competence, but with a silent habit they repeat every single day? A habit so subtle that most people never notice it, yet powerful enough to change how others perceive them. If you can't control your emotions, people will control you. Most people misunderstand emotional control. It's not about staying calm. It's about how your mind silently shapes your behavior, your relationships, and the way people respond to you without you realizing it. If you stay until the end, you'll understand the psychological patterns behind your reactions, why you repeat certain behaviors, and how your mind actually builds emotional habits in daily life. Because the real issue is not what you feel, it's what your mind does with what you feel. And most people never notice this process happening. Welcome to the space of understanding the human mind and modern emotions, helping people better understand anxiety, relationships, behavior patterns, and the hidden mechanisms behind their inner thoughts. In today's video, we will explore the silent habit that makes you look weak, a behavior that often appears harmless, reasonable, and even socially acceptable, but can gradually damage your confidence, reduce your influence, and change the way others respond to you. You will discover the psychological reason why this habit develops, how it affects your social presence, why emotionally strong people avoid it, and what you can do instead to project greater confidence, emotional stability, and self-respect. What you are about to learn is not based on motivation or empty advice. It is rooted in psychology, human behavior, emotional patterns, and the way people unconsciously evaluate one another. And by the end of this video, you may recognize this habit in yourself, in people around you, and in situations you never questioned before. The most surprising part is that what makes someone appear weak is often the exact behavior they believe is making them look stronger. Let's begin. Have you ever reached the end of the day feeling completely drained, even though nothing particularly bad happened? No major argument, no crisis, no disaster. Yet somehow your mind feels heavy, your patience is gone, and even simple conversations start to feel exhausting. Most people assume they're tired because they need more sleep, more coffee, or a vacation. But often, the real reason is much deeper. Your brain is constantly processing emotional pressure that never gets released. Every unanswered message you overthink. Every awkward interaction you replay in your head. Every moment you pretend you're fine when you're not. It all adds up. The strange part is that this emotional weight becomes so normal that you stop noticing it. You wake up carrying yesterday's stress, last week's disappointment, and months of silent frustration without realizing it. And over time, something begins to change. You become more reactive, more sensitive to criticism, and more dependent on how other people respond to you. What looks like weakness from the outside often starts as emotional exhaustion on the inside. But there's one everyday habit that quietly feeds this process, making it stronger every single day while most people never connect the dots. And once you recognize it, you may start seeing it everywhere. What most people don't realize is that the habit making them look weak rarely feels like weakness when they're doing it. In fact, it often feels responsible, honest, or even necessary. The brain has a natural need for certainty. It wants to reduce tension, avoid rejection, and make sure everything is understood correctly. That's why after a conversation goes slightly wrong, many people immediately start explaining themselves, justifying their intentions, or trying to make others see their side of the story. On the surface, this seems harmless. But beneath that behavior, something else is happening. Every time you feel the need to constantly defend, clarify, or seek reassurance, your brain is sending itself a silent message. I need approval before I can feel secure. The more this pattern repeats, the more automatic it becomes. Eventually, you stop noticing it. It shows up in texts you rewrite 3 times before sending. It appears when you apologize for things that don't require an apology. It happens when someone misunderstands you, and you spend hours mentally replaying the situation instead of letting it go. The surprising part is that people are often not reacting to your words. They are reacting to the emotional signal underneath them. Confidence tends to communicate itself quietly, while insecurity often speaks through over-explaining. And this is where a subtle psychological shift begins to affect relationships, friendships, workplaces, and even the way strangers respond to you. The habit feels like protection, but it may be creating the exact outcome you're trying to avoid. And this is why some people walk into a room and immediately seem respected, while others struggle to be taken seriously, even when they are intelligent, capable, and kind. It's not always about personality. It's often about emotional signaling. The silent habit of constantly seeking reassurance, explaining yourself, or trying to control how others perceive you begins to change your behavior in ways you barely notice. You start hesitating before speaking. You second-guess your opinions. You become more focused on how people might react than on what you genuinely think. Over time, this creates a subtle shift in your presence. People sense uncertainty, not because you say you're insecure, but because your actions quietly communicate it. In relationships, this can lead to imbalance, where one person is always trying to gain approval while the other naturally takes more control. In friendships, it can make you feel overlooked or undervalued. At work, it may cause others to question your confidence even when your skills are strong. The frustrating part is that most people never connect these outcomes to the small emotional habits happening inside their minds every day. They assume they're unlucky, misunderstood, or simply not charismatic enough. But the brain reinforces whatever it repeats. And when the habit of seeking validation becomes automatic, it slowly shapes the way you interact with the world, and the way the world responds to you. The effect is gradual, almost invisible, which is exactly why so many people miss it until the pattern has already become part of who they are. Your brain doesn't react to the present only. Much of what feels like a reaction to today's situation is actually connected to emotional memories that were never fully processed. This is where the story becomes deeper. The habit of over-explaining, seeking reassurance, or constantly worrying about how others see you often doesn't start in adulthood. It develops slowly through repeated experiences that teach the brain a specific lesson. Acceptance must be earned. Maybe it came from environments where mistakes were heavily criticized. Maybe it came from relationships where approval felt unpredictable. Or maybe it grew from years of feeling misunderstood and believing that if you could just explain yourself better, people would finally understand your intentions. The brain is remarkably efficient at creating patterns. Once it identifies a strategy that seems to reduce emotional discomfort, it stores that strategy for future use. The problem is that what protected you years ago may no longer serve you today. Yet the emotional memory remains active. So when someone questions you, ignores a message, seems distant, or misunderstands your words, your mind may react as if the stakes are much higher than they actually are. Without realizing it, you're not responding only to the current moment. You're responding to dozens of similar emotional experiences layered beneath it. This creates a cycle where old feelings quietly influence present behavior. And until that connection becomes visible, the habit continues repeating itself in different situations with different people, while producing the same emotional outcome again and again. The moment you begin noticing this pattern instead of automatically following it, something subtle starts to change. Not because you suddenly become fearless, perfectly confident, or emotionally unaffected. That's not how real psychological change works. What changes first is your awareness. You start catching yourself in moments that previously felt automatic. You notice the urge to explain more than necessary. You recognize the discomfort that appears when someone misunderstands you. You become aware of how often your mind tries to manage other people's opinions in order to feel safe. And that awareness creates a small but powerful distance between the feeling and the reaction. The interesting part is that the goal is not to stop caring what people think. Human beings are social by nature. The goal is understanding when your behavior is being guided by the present moment and when it is being guided by old emotional patterns that no longer reflect reality. As this understanding grows, situations that once felt threatening begin to look different. A delayed text stops feeling like rejection. A disagreement stops feeling like a personal attack. A misunderstanding stops feeling like something that must be fixed immediately. You begin to realize that strength is not found in controlling every outcome or every perception. It often appears in the ability to tolerate uncertainty without abandoning yourself in the process. And when that shift begins, people usually notice something different about you before you even have the words to describe it. Not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped letting an invisible habit quietly decide how you show up in the world. Maybe the most surprising part of all this is realizing that the habit itself was never the real story. The real story was what that habit was trying to protect. Most people spend years looking at their reactions without ever questioning what exists underneath them. They notice the overthinking, the need for reassurance, the urge to explain themselves, the discomfort of being misunderstood. But they rarely stop long enough to see the deeper pattern connecting all those moments together. And perhaps that's why these behaviors can stay hidden for so long. They don't arrive as obvious weaknesses. They arrive disguised as caution, responsibility, kindness, or self-awareness. They quietly blend into everyday life until they begin shaping how a person sees themselves and how they move through the world. What makes this fascinating is that two people can experience the exact same situation and walk away with completely different emotional outcomes. Not because the situation changed, but because the meaning attached to it was different. The human mind is constantly interpreting reality, filling gaps, creating stories, predicting outcomes, and protecting old emotional wounds that may no longer belong to the present moment. And somewhere in that process, many people spend years fighting battles that no one else can see. Not because they are weak, not because they are broken, but because certain emotional patterns became so familiar that they started feeling like part of their personality. The question is, how many of the things you believe about yourself today are actually reflections of who you are? And how many are simply reflections of patterns that have been repeating for so long that they began to feel permanent? Because sometimes the biggest change doesn't happen when life changes. It happens when you begin to see what was there all along. And once something becomes visible, it never looks quite the same again. Before you go, take a second to support the channel. If this video helped you understand something about yourself, leave a like and subscribe for more content about psychology, human behavior, emotions, and personal growth. I'd also like to hear from you. If you watched all the way to the end, leave the comment, "I see the pattern now." It's a simple way to let me know you stayed until the final minute. And don't stop here. Click the video showing on your screen right now, because it connects directly to what you learned today and may help you recognize another hidden behavior that influences your thoughts, emotions, and relationships more than you realize. You can also explore the playlist linked here for a deeper journey into the psychology of everyday life, emotional patterns, and human behavior. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.